There are gay men and gay women who participate in intercollegiate sports. What kind of message does it send when we're saying we're going to schedule events in states that openly discriminate against gay people?
Connecticut Governor Dan Malloy speaking out about the executive order he signed barring all state-sponsored travel to Indiana, specifically referencing the Final Four in Indy. Of course, UConn ain't in the Final Four. At any rate, Governor Malloy issued the order in response to that law being signed by Mike Pence in the Hoosier State. San Francisco State following suit, banning all school-funded travel to the state of Indiana. Other universities have also spoken out, citing concerns of discrimination. For more on this story, let's get a view from campus with Gabby Morrongiello, who is a campus correspondent for campusreform.org. Back with us, of course, from Washington, D.C., Republican strategist Ford O'Connell. Gabby, before you joined us, Ford was talking about millennials accepting gay marriage and all these changes. Are millennials and college students now solidly behind what Dan Malloy is saying about the Final Four?
Well, I don't think that students are supportive of travel bans to Indiana, and they're certainly not entirely supportive of, the LGBT narrative that's happening on college campuses, where administrators and elected officials are pushing this narrative of discrimination that's resulting from this Indiana Religious Freedom Restoration Act. If college students took the time to actually educate themselves on the purpose of this act, they might realize that it is not there to permit discrimination, but simply to establish the balancing tests that courts must use in order to determine the outcome of religious freedom cases.
Gabby, isn't it fair to say, though, that the faculties on college campuses are A, progressive, and B, brainwashing folks, and essentially a lot of millennials, if I'm running for office as President of the United States, and I say I'm against same-sex marriage, it wouldn't matter if I had the cure for cancer on any other issue because they're just not going to listen?
Well, absolutely. We have seen a disturbing trend on college campuses of administrators and professors pushing a pro-LGBT, anti-Republican agenda in their classrooms and on campuses. So it's really important for potential GOP candidates to travel to college campuses and develop a message that will reach millennials who are saturated by these opinions and from one side of the political spectrum.
And as you're speaking, Gabby, we're watching video supplied by Harvard University. Of course, the first couple, if I'm not mistaken, our president and first lady both went to law school there at Harvard. This whole notion that all of academy has lurched leftward, what does that mean for a conservative student like you on your campus?
Well, I'm a student at George Washington University, and we actually just hosted Rick Santorum on our campus, the former senator and a potential presidential candidate in 2016. And it was refreshing to see the audience listen to Santorum, hear what he had to say about the law in Indiana, and obviously walk away more informed, able to develop their own conclusions, but reminded of the importance of religious liberty. So again, it is so crucial for presidential candidates as we gear up for 2016 to be out there visiting college campuses and reminding students of the importance of religious liberty.
Gabby, you make a great point here. In 2012, Barack Obama got 67% of the youth vote to Mitt Romney's 30%. If I'm a presidential candidate trying to court voters on a college campus, which three issues should I be focusing on to bring more students to the Republican Party?
Well, first and foremost, jobs and the economy, because college students are graduating and going into a workforce where it's difficult for them to find jobs. Second, I believe religious liberty is an important issue because many college students, again, are increasingly exposed to one side of the spectrum that proposes these LGBT narratives on campus, and they're not exposed to the importance of First Amendment rights and how they need to defend those when they go out into the professional world. And third, I think it's important for students to be mindful of our foreign policy. That's an issue that's usually just brushed over on college campuses, and it's really important, especially in the climate today.
Well, Gabby, perhaps this fits back under that economic heading that you offered, but it seems to me, having firsthand experience now as a dad of college students, this whole student loan takeover by the feds, it seems to me that could be pure political gold to motivate college students, again, in their own economic self-interest, to take a stand for more conservative values.
Absolutely. Students are seeing President Obama out there championing for free community college education and the student loan or student aid bill of rights. But they truly, some college students are beginning to realize that they have to exercise caution in borrowing money from the federal government to pay for higher education. And that higher education is not a right, it's a privilege, which is also a message that Republican candidates need to get out there and spread to college campuses and to high school students who are looking to consider college.
Ford, 2 minutes remain. Let me
Gabby, it's been a long time since JD and I went to college, okay, so try not to date JD so much. But let me ask you this. Why are the academics, the professors, the lecturers, etc., why is it such a, it's always been a hotbed of political progressive thought, but why so more today than any time ever before? Is it because we're basically fighting the Cultural Revolution right now on the streets of the U.S., or is there something else at play?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with what free speech has become on college campuses and how that's been impeded on college campuses. The Leadership Institute's campus reform has followed a number of examples of universities, not tolerating certain perspectives or dissenting opinions, but allowing these professors without repercussions to go on rants against Republicans, against Christian students in the classroom, so they're not being held accountable, and that's what we're trying to do ultimately with campus reform, is to hold these professors accountable, to hold these administrators accountable, and make students realize that they shouldn't be made to feel uncomfortable in the classroom. They should ultimately be exposed to political views from all sides of the spectrum.
Gabriella Morrongiello, it seems to me that you have a very appealing argument to offer. That is, if kids really want to be iconoclast, if they really want to go against the grain on campuses, just step forward as conservatives, and they'll have plenty of chance to rebel against authority. We thank you for your insights as you're part of campusreform.org. And when we come back, Ford will hang around. There